Welcome to Philosophers of Education. My name is Fatima and I am your host for this evening. We have some exciting guests for you. Joining us this evening is Aristotle, Confucius, Maria Montessori, and bell hooks. Let's hear from our audience about who they are most excited to hear from and why.
Thanks, Danica. I'm so excited to be here today as an audience member. I think I'm most excited to hear from Maria Montessori because as a future educator myself, her views kind of align with my own as well. I really believe that education should be student focused and they should kind of guide their own learning. So I'm really excited to hear about some of her points and learn a little bit more of her philosophy in depth, but I'm very excited to be here. Thank you.
I'm super excited to see Bell Hooks today. Her philosophy of teaching really aligns with my own. I have in my own ideas about teaching that the purpose of education is to basically eradicate barriers and provide opportunities and access to opportunities for students of all backgrounds. And I think that Bell Hooks focuses on the importance of addressing systems of oppression through education, and I think that is hugely important to my own philosophy of education.
Hi, I'm Matt, and I'm really excited to see Aristotle today. He really aligns with my pedagogical and educational philosophy by education being a way for the students to develop their full potentials and cultivate a holistic approach and also be good citizens, and also the educator being someone who is a mentor and a role model and a guide to his students.
I'm so excited to see my idol Confucius, as his teaching most aligns with my thoughts of education. I think education should be a lifelong learning process, and a lifelong education are necessary in enabling humans being realized and practice their true nature. The respect and all people, sorry, I'm very nervous, able to learn about good and do good. So people should learn, education should be honored and respected, and people should learn about doing good and so they can do good. That being said, one thing I want to really ask Mr. Confucius is that he should expand on his teaching about education being a public sector and not private. If everybody should be entitled to education, education should be open to all, and the barriers that are preventing a public education should be explored and taken down.
At guard 6'4" from Kentucky, welcome to DC number 2.
So, we have some questions from the audience if you like to answer. What is the primary purpose of education in your philosophy?
Well, the primary purpose of education in my personal philosophy is to help each child discover their unique potential through individualized learning. By offering a curriculum that adapts to the child's interest and pace, we foster an independence and a love of learning. Sensory exploration plays a key role in my philosophy, as children learn best through hands-on experiences and when they engage with their senses. Education should empower children to become active, confident learners who can navigate the world with curiosity and purpose.
Thank you, Maria. That was awesome. I'd like to expand on that. My educational philosophy as Aristotle, we do also focus on the idea of trial and error, and also the holistic approach of the student. We also, as educators and teachers, we are here to guide students towards virtue and knowledge, and we also want our students to flourish and to have a good life.
Aristotle, I really loved your point about educating the child in a holistic way. I would say that in addition to developing the mind, in my philosophy, the purpose of education is to also develop the body and spirit. And by educating the child in a holistic way, we create a more just society. And that is what I would say that the purpose of education is in my philosophy.
Great point, Hooks. Thank you for that. Going off that, roads were made for journey, not destination. True education is self-education. Self-illumination, sincerity, is called nature, is natural. The self-illumination is sincerity is called education. Therefore, education is a process of constant improvement.
What do you believe is the most critical quality for an educator to possess in today's educational landscape, and why?
So I wrote in my book, Teaching to Transgress, that self-actualization is one of the most important qualities for an educator to possess. And I think that's more true than ever in today's educational landscape. With the increasing demands that teachers face in educating students, they really have to take the time to ensure that they're taking care of their own well-being and looking after their own educational journey in order to be empowered to help students through their teaching.
Beautiful, beautiful. You know, I can go off of that actually. And personally, I believe that the most critical quality for an educator today is the ability to observe and understand each child's individual needs. Every child learns differently, as we know, and as an educator, you must be attentive, responsive, and adaptable to these differences. By creating a supportive and flexible environment and guiding each child at their own pace, an educator can help them develop independence, confidence, and a lifelong love of learning.
Thank you, Maria. I really agree with the point of lifelong reading. This is a quote. When I walk along with two others, from at least one, I will be able to learn. So in my opinion, the objective of life is to learn from others and understand the true value of truth, virtue, and ethics. Educators should obtain the skill of being open-minded and flexible and adaptable. When we are in a constant state of learning, we should learn from other students, and therefore we can become better educators.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Beautiful. Thank you, Confucius. Belle, Maria, lovely. That was awesome to hear you guys speak about that. What I really think the most critical quality of an educator in today's educational landscape is for them to be role models, and for the student to be a guiding light for our students, and to put them in the right direction of being good model citizens. In today's society, we do have a lot of different variables that we've come across now, and teachers are now more of a mentor. They are the constant and the trusting person in a lot of students' lives today, and it's also critical to make sure that students have a safe place to come and learn and to work towards being good people.
Aristotle, do you mind if I just, to your point about teachers being role models,
Sure.
That's wonderful in an ideal situation, but I think one thing that we overlook in education is the fact that teachers are people, and we have to be able to acknowledge the fact that we're whole people, we're going to make mistakes, and I think that goes to my point about self-actualization and appreciating the well-being of teachers as well as students, and I think that maybe is somewhere we might disagree.
I love that point.
I love that.
No, you're not.
How do you each view the relationship between education and social justice?
Thank you. Education is essential because excellence comes from the cultivation of individual virtues and intellect. Everybody should be educated, equal to all. No matter social class, life is about constant education. Thank you.
Thank you for that point, Confucius, and I would agree that regardless of social class, everyone should be educated. I think that education is essential to social justice, and education provides us the tools and the language to understand systems of oppression, and not only how we're oppressed by these systems, but how our privilege oppresses others. And I think that's essential to create a more just society, and I think it's tied inextricably to social justice.
You know what, Belle? That's a beautiful response. I really love all the points you made there. I also believe that every child deserves an equal opportunity to learn and grow regardless of their background. I will acknowledge that sometimes my approach is not the most accessible, but hopefully in the future it will be a little better. But by offering an inclusive and individualized education, we can empower children to become responsible, compassionate members of a society and create a more just world for the future.
That's awesome, Maria. I believe education, education.
We'll just get edited.
Okay.
Okay. 2,
Okay.
1.
All right, cool. I believe that education should be part of social justice, and social justice should be part of education, and there should be a role in, once again, developing a holistic individual and letting those individuals become good moral citizens, and also developing their own civic duties. And also education should be something that should be equitable and accessible to everybody, and more of a public education system as opposed to a private one.
Beautiful.
How would you each use your own teaching philosophies in a modern day classroom?
Thank you. Okay, another quote. I hear and I forget. I see, I remember. I do and I understand. Basically what this means, to learn, we must seek to participate. We must seek out knowledge. However, we must think before we seek. Seeking knowledge without thinking is useless. Classrooms should be collaborative in nature and should engage students to interact. Allowing for collaboration work, group work, workstation presentations are essential for learning. Life is all about learning. We learn from others, and listening to others' opinions, we can expand on our own knowledge. We can always learn from anyone, anytime, any experience. If we are not learning, then life would essentially, in my opinion, be meaningless.
That was great, Confucius, and I can also go on that as well, is that we should be using a holistic approach and practical engagement, and also individualized instruction to really help our students thrive in the modern classroom, but also give them the tools and the necessary experience to thrive outside the classroom. We want to also let our students try and also fail, but also succeed, and show that it's okay to make mistakes and it's okay to try again.
I love that point about trial and error and learning from our mistakes and using a collaborative classroom environment. In a modern classroom, I would, of course, employ a Montessori approach by creating a prepared environment with materials that encourage hands-on learning and that encourage exploration. So for example, in a math class, I might have a math area with tactile materials like bead chains or number rods to help students understand abstract number concepts through the physical manipulation. Or in a literacy classroom, I would use phonetic objects and letters to help children learn and read and write through exploration. I really find that that's important, and they can take a collaborative approach to this as well. Belle?
I think that your point, Maria, about kind of curating an environment for students that where they can take the lead, where they have lots of options on the way they want to learn and how they want to go about it is crucial, and taking the lead from students is very important. I to your point, I think that there are, we deal with resource deficiencies in a lot of places, and I think that one area where any teacher in any classroom, no matter what the socioeconomic situation is, they can always provide a environment where ideas can flourish, where students can bring a variety of ideas to the table, and different ways of knowing can be embraced. And I think that's essential in a modern day classroom, especially when maybe you're dealing with the difficulties having the resources that you might want to have in your classroom.
Yes, of course.
Nice. Very nice.
What practices do you advocate for to promote equity in learning in a classroom?
So one of the practices that I advocate for equity and learning in the classroom is giving students the chance to make mistakes and learn by trial and error. We live in a society right now where everything has to be perfect, and making mistakes is really frowned upon. And giving students to make those mistakes and learning from them will give them the confidence to become stronger individuals, both inside the classroom and outside the classroom.
Great. Thank you. Great point, Aristotle. Just building on your point, one of my thing is about self-reflection. So making mistakes is amazing concept. Thank you for that. One of my cardinal value is called yi. So what this basically means is justice, immoral, leave rights. Teachers should allow students, and every student, a chance to speak and present their ideas in class. Respect for all is a value that all teachers should have.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that point. For me, some practices that I advocate for are the inclusion and respect of all in my classroom. So, and this really caters to students with exceptionalities and learning disabilities. We're really taking consideration of all types of students learning. And this really promotes equity in the classroom with care and attention. And I really love to provide all of my students, no matter their individualities or their different levels of needs, we will cater to all in our classrooms. Belle?
Maria, I love that point about ensuring that there are resources and opportunities for students who may have different barriers to education to kind of overcome those in your classroom. And Confucius, to your point about ensuring that all voices are heard in your classroom, I think that's very important. In my book, Teaching Community, I draw a distinction between inclusion and diversity and pluralism. And I think that pluralism, the approach is not just hearing the ideas, but actually embracing them and engaging with them seriously. And I think that's essential to ensuring that the equity, real equity, is achieved in the classroom.
Amazing.
Yes, great job.
Do you agree with any current educational policies in place in Ontario today?
So one educational policy in place in Ontario today that I really strongly agree with is the addition of Indigenous education into the curriculum. It introduces students to colonization, which is a system of oppression that's still very relevant today, and it also introduces students to diverse ways of knowing, and as long as it's done in a respectful and appropriate way, I think it can be a great resource for students.
Amazing, beautiful.
No, thank you for that. That was an amazing point. Just to build on your point, I believe education should be for all. So it doesn't matter your working class or social status, everybody should be educated. One thing I really like about this current policy is that, yes, I agree with it. I believe that education is a requirement for life's journey. In Canada, everybody is entitled to education, which I strongly agree with.
Very nice. I'd also kind of like to build off of your point, and I'm really enjoying this new emergence of the emphasis on STEM programs in school right now. It really fosters a unique learning environment where children are able to manipulate and engage with hands-on material that allows them to think creatively and problem solve and think critically about different issues and engaging with science and technology, engineering, and mathematical concepts. I find that very, very interesting, and I'm really enjoying how that has been coming out in education currently in Ontario.
These are all great points, and I have to say I agree with everyone at this table. I do agree that education should be something that every child should have a right to, and it should not be something that should be a privilege. Public education is something that's going to help our students grow. Another thing, Maria, what I really liked is that, we should be also educating our students through hands-on, through STEM, letting them explore, letting them build things, letting them see what they can come up with, and their own individualized learning by being guided by their educator and by their teacher.
What are the most significant challenges facing education today, and how would you propose addressing them through your philosophical lens?
I think the most challenging part of education today is that I feel like students are just going through the system. When we seek knowledge, we should have a purpose rather than just going through the motion. Students should work hard and should be disciplined. I think education should be a gateway for students to achieve like a higher purpose of leveling. For instance, in my opinion, only people that educated can become leaders in a governing body. Students should focus on self-reflection. What's important to them. Education is a moral agent that will be achieved through self-reflection. Just another quote of mine. A man who committed a mistake and doesn't correct it is committing to another mistake. When we self-reflect, we can overcome our mistakes and correct them.
Confucious, I think that you made some really great points in your answer, but I would like to disagree on one point. I do think self-reflection is absolutely essential in education, but I also think we need to bring in the idea of reflecting on society as a whole and on how we are in relation to others. And I think that's a really important piece to add to your answer, in my opinion. I also think that, speaking for my own answer to this question, that one of the most challenging aspects of educating today is the idea of political polarization, that everything is black and white, and it's hard to really engage with ideas that we may disagree with, but engage with them thoroughly and address them in an educational environment. And we often shut out ideas, and I think I've spoken previously about the dangers of doing this, and I think that's a huge problem for educators today.
Very nice. Well said.
Very nice.
Well said.
Well said, Belle. Well said, Confucius. One big challenge I think that educators are facing today is the cutting of specialized education programs for children who have exceptionalities or who have additional needs. As someone who did struggle in school, the cutting those resources may make it harder for children and students to to be with their peers and learn at the same rate they are. Currently, the RISE program, which stands for Reaching Individual Success and Excellence Program, is potentially being cut by the Greater Essex Public School Board, and RISE is designed to assist children who have exceptionalities and who do require additional support, especially in math and language arts, and they need to work at their own pace in small groups. Giving students the opportunity to learn the materials in ways that interest them and help them will let them be successful in the classroom. Reducing programs or cutting programs such as RISE will not help these students who struggle in regular class settings and will not be able to succeed at the same rate as their classmates.
Amazing. Well said. Building off of your point, I have also heard about the Windsor Essex Catholic District School Board, and I know I've mentioned the emphasis on STEM and how amazing that is, and it is an amazing program. However, I don't believe it should be replacing subjects that are currently being taught in school. So for example, currently in kindergarten classrooms, music is being replaced by STEM, and music is a very essential and vital part of our learning experience. And students are able to engage with instruments, and their brains are firing, and they're learning so much while doing that. So STEM should be an addition and not replacing. But also another challenge facing education today is the promotion of standardized testing. So for example, EQAO testing done in grades 3, 6, 9, and 10. I believe it's too rigid of a curriculum, and it can limit a child's natural curiosity and self-directed learning. It also stifles their creativity and their individuality. And personally, I advocate for a more flexible hands-on approach. And so I don't agree with this one-size-fits-all approach for all students within education. I think it should be a little more individualized. And I think the RISE program being cut, that really goes against that, truly. So hopefully, in the future, some of these challenges will be rectified.
What legacy do you hope your educational philosophy will leave for future generation, and how can it continue to evolve?
So I would say my hope for my educational philosophy, the legacy of it, is to continue to inspire educators to work collaboratively with their students, and to learn from each other in a holistic way in order to challenge the systems of oppression under which we live and create a more just society. And I think that the way it can evolve is continuing to learn from each other, but I think essential to that is inviting people in. So using language that invites people to think critically about these things rather than shuts them out and makes them feel guilty or unwanted for the way that their role in society. And I think that in order for the legacy to evolve and this work to continue, we really need to invite people in with our language and lead with love.
That's incredible.
Incredible.
answer.
Awesome.
Wow, Hooks, that was really good. Wow. I agree with pretty much everything you said. Basically, my hope though is for self-reflection. So self-reflection enables you to move from just experiencing things into understanding. Self-reflection encourages a level of self-awareness and consciousness about your practices. It enables you to identify areas that you can improve on and also where you're strongest at. Therefore, my hope for the new generation is that everybody learn from each other, like what you said, and that we self-reflect on our own purpose of education. My suggestion for schools is to allow for breaks in the day for self-reflection.
That's a wonderful comment. I love that legacy. Personally, I hope my legacy will be an education system that respects and nurtures the individual potential of every child. As education evolves, I believe it can continue to adapt by embracing new technologies and teaching methods while staying true to the core principles of self-directed and hands-on learning. Ideally, more schools providing a Montessori teaching approach will become more accessible for all students regardless of their socioeconomic statuses.
Amazing, everyone. And I'm hoping that the legacy that my philosophy leaves behind is in the future will be to that all students have the chance to reach their full potential and just become good people and good citizens, and they can also guide the future students as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having us today.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a great conversation. It was great talking to everybody.
Wonderful.
Thank you guys. I learned a lot.
Yes, I've learned so
So
much
much.
from all of you. And you know what? I think I'm going to pick up your book this weekend.
Oh,
I'm very
yes,
excited to
please
read
do.
through.
You should buy my book as
Yeah.
well.
Would you be able to sign my book for me?
Yeah, for sure. We should all buy each other's books
Yeah.
and sign them.
I think so too. Yeah.
The primary purpose of education, in my view, aligns closely with the philosophy of John Dewey. The primary purpose, in my view, is to equip individuals to participate meaningfully in democratic society. Education should go beyond merely absorbing facts. It should be a vibrant, interactive process that encourages students to question, experiment, and engage with the world around them. I see education as a foundation for critical thinking and social responsibility, empowering students to not only gain knowledge but also apply it in real life context. Education to me is fundamentally about growth. It nurtures curiosity and adaptability, guiding students to become lifelong learners who contribute thoughtfully and constructively to society. By fostering collaboration and hands-on experiences, education helps create well-rounded individuals capable of making informed ethical decisions within a democratic society. Thank you all for this engaging and thought-provoking conversation. Each of you has shown us that while these philosophies are rooted in different times and cultures, they share a common goal to empower students and create a better society. These perspectives challenge us to think critically about our own roles as educators and remind us of the impact we have on future generations. And with that, we conclude our discussion on philosophies of education. Remember, as Dewey said, education is not preparation for life, education is life itself. Let's continue to bring these philosophies to life every day in our classrooms. Thank you.